I would like to acknowledge the lands on which we all meet today and recognise that sovereignty was never ceded. I would like to specifically acknowledge that the Wurundjeri and Boonwurrung people, communities of the Kulin Nation, are the ongoing custodians of the lands on which Monash University now stands. We pay our respects through our research, teaching and learning to the Wurundjeri and Boonwurrung elders and their past, present and future communities. Hi and welcome to the 3 Ways to Become a Teacher session at Monash University Open Day 2020. This session will start with a brief presentation outlining all the essential things you need to know about becoming a teacher with Monash, focusing on the Bachelor of Education Honours and its associated double degrees. Once we've finished with that, we'll move on to a question and answer live panel with a current student and an alumni, so you can get all your questions answered and feel confident once you finish this session as to what your next step is. So the 3 ways that you can become a teacher. Firstly, you can study a Bachelor of Education Honours as a single degree. This will take you 4 years and then you'll be able to register as a teacher. The second way is to study the same degree, but study it as a double degree. The great thing about Monash is that will still only take you 4 years. Or thirdly, you can study a degree in another discipline, followed by a Master of Teaching. So that's how you can become a teacher, but why should you become a teacher?
Hello, my name is Mike Phillips and I'm the Associate Professor of Digital Transformations in the Faculty of Education at Monash. Before coming to the university about 10 years ago, I was actually a secondary school teacher and principal for about 15 years. And I can honestly say that my experiences over the past 25 years lead me to the belief that teaching is the best profession in the world. Doesn't mean to say that it's easy, and I think events over the past several months have shown that teaching can be really challenging. But studying to become a teacher with us at Monash puts you in a fantastic position to be able to not only deal with some of those challenges, but take advantage of some of the opportunities that are associated with digital technology use, for example. I'm proud to lead a group of 20 academics who are internationally renowned for their expertise in teaching in online and virtual spaces. And that's just one fantastic reason why you should come to study to be a teacher with us here at Monash.
A little more on why you should study education and why you should study education at Monash. Education remains in the top 3 employment growth areas in Australia. It's a highly skilled and regulated profession with a very low chance of automation. So you're not likely to see artificial intelligence or robots taking over your role in the classroom anytime soon. You know that with teaching and education, you've got a secure career going long into the future. And we know that Monash education graduates are also very successful in the profession. So 95% nearly of Monash education graduates are employed within 4 months of finishing their degree. And one of the reasons for that is that Monash education is actually the #1 faculty of education in Australia and in the top 15 in the world. So you know that when you study with Monash, you've got a world-recognised, world-renowned, top quality degree. Professional experience is a huge part of studying a teaching degree. With the Bachelor of Education Honours, you'll have a minimum 80 days of placement, and if you study a Master of Teaching, you'll have a minimum 60 days of placement. So this is your time to get out into schools or early childhood education centres and really put into practice all the things that you're learning during your degree. The great thing about Monash is that you'll have a placement every year during your degree. So your placements are spread out so that you're actually able to really apply things as you go. You're building your skills, you're building your knowledge, and you're building your confidence and your experience in the classroom as well. So by the time you graduate, you'll be fully ready to embrace your career as a teacher. Another great thing about Monash is that we have placements not just in and around Melbourne, but you can also go for a rural or regional placement within Australia, or when travel's permitted, you can go overseas. We have about 8 countries at the moment that we have arrangements with for students to go internationally and apply their teaching skills and learn about different cultural aspects of teaching and different ways of doing education around the world. Another benefit of studying education with Monash is that we have a wide range of specialisations. So you can see here all of the different specialisations we offer for the Bachelor of Education Honours. Now you can see that there's early childhood, primary and secondary, and different combinations of those as well. So we do offer dual sector specializations, which means that you can do 2 different levels of education within the 1 degree, such as primary and secondary education. These ones are great for if you're not sure really what you want to do and what age group of students you want to teach yet. It really allows you to keep your options open and broadens your career options when you graduate as well. We also have some really specific programs on inclusive education, which allows you to really focus on making your classroom an inclusive place and catering to all different kinds of learners at different levels, including children with disabilities. We also offer health and physical education at our Peninsula campus. So if you're really interested in working with health and with movement and sport, then health and physical education is a fantastic thing for you to study. The Master of Teaching doesn't quite have as many specialisations, but it does allow you to study early childhood, primary or secondary education, or a combination of those. So you can still do the early childhood and primary, and you can still do the primary and secondary combinations. If you study a double degree with Monash, you can combine either primary education or secondary education with a Bachelor of Arts, Business, Fine Art, Music or Science. And as I mentioned earlier, it will still only take you 4 years to graduate with both of those degrees and be able to register as a teacher. So to be eligible to apply for these courses, we have individual ATARs for each specialisation. Minimum of 74 is indicated for single degree specialisations, and that includes those dual sector specialisations I was talking about, like the early childhood and primary and the primary and secondary education. For double degrees, it's a little bit higher. You're looking at a minimum of 82, and that will go upwards. For the individual ATARs, I highly recommend taking a look at our course guide, which you can download from the Monash Open Day platform. Prerequisites for education are fairly straightforward. Every degree, every specialisation requires English, and for education we also require maths. Now that can be any Year 12 mathematics, or if you decide to finish maths after Year 11, then we need a minimum of general mathematics for your units 1 and 2. There's no minimum score for those, you just have to complete those units. And for double degrees, you do need to meet the prerequisites for your partner course as well, that second degree. So again, I highly recommend taking a look at that course guide so that you can get a sense of what the requirements are for your chosen specialisation or double degree. And we do have this third thing that you need to meet to be able to apply for the Bachelor of Education Honours. It's called CASPA. CASPA is a non-academic assessment. It's a situational judgment test. What that means is that it is designed to measure your personal and professional attributes to make sure that you're the right kind of person to become a teacher, someone that's suited to the teaching profession. We actually have a whole separate session about the CASPA requirement, so I highly encourage you to come along to that one. And if you aren't able, if you've already missed it, you can actually watch that on demand as well to make sure that you get everything you need to know about meeting that CASPA requirement. Now we do have some time for questions, so if you have a question, please type it into the Q&A section on your screen now if you haven't already. We'll get to as many questions as we can, but if there is something that we don't have enough time for or we can't answer, you can click on the Chat with Us button and visit our Welcome to Education chat room to get more help. My name is Rebecca and I'm a course advisor in the Faculty of Education at Monash. Joining me today to help answer your questions, we have Nethmi, who is a current student in secondary education and arts, and we also have Maddie, who is one of our graduates from the primary and secondary inclusive education specialisation. Welcome to both of you. We also have Chantel and Grace online to moderate the Q&A and also pass on your questions to us. So let's go. What do we have have in the Q&A.
So the first question I have is, why did you choose education at Monash?
That's a nice one to get started with. Nethemi, do you want to start with that one?
Yeah, sure. I think the reason I chose to study at Monash, I think the first factor that really made it for me was the description around professional experience. So I remember back in year 12 reading through the degrees, and then I stumbled upon the description around the fact that we could do at least 80 days of experience. And for someone who always wanted to find opportunities to better myself, I think that for me was a real deal breaker. So knowing that such a university offers not just local school opportunities, but remote, rural, and even international, that for me was why I chose to study at Monash.
Fantastic. And Maddie, I'm going to tweak that question a tiny bit for you. I'm going to ask you, because you're doing you did a bit of a different specialisation that not many people know much about. So I'm wondering why you chose education, but more specifically, why did you choose to do inclusive education?
That is a great question. The reason why I chose education at Monash was for that specialisation. It was the only place in the state I could do it. And also I just got really good vibes from the university when I got to come and meet everybody, and I hope everyone gets to do that eventually. I chose inclusive education specifically due to my own history through high school of working with young people with disabilities and diverse needs. And the entire community I'd grown up in had really fostered that within me, that was something I wanted to do and learn how to support people of all different diversities and needs, and provide them with the same educational opportunities. So for me, it was absolutely just that's what I have to do. That's who I am. That's the only place that offers it. Let's do it.
Fantastic. Do we have some more questions, Chantel or Grace?
Yes, we sure do, Beck. We've got another question from online from Lauren about what makes Monash the best university for education degrees.
Wow. There's so many possible answers to that. Obviously I'm working in the faculty, so I'm going to point immediately to what you might have seen in the presentation before now. We are actually ranked number 1 in Australia for education, and we have been for the last few years. We're also the number 12 faculty for education in the world, which, when you consider how many universities there actually are in the world, hint, there's thousands, that's pretty amazing. But honestly, and I am going to throw to Nethemi and Maddie and obviously get their thoughts on and their experiences. But for me, working in the faculty, it's also the people. It's your fellow students. It's the academic staff that put so much of themselves into everything that they do for you as a student. It's our placements team. It's our student services team. It's our student experience officers who are fellow students like you, but they're employed part-time by the university to help you out with things that you need. It's our student ambassador program. It's all sorts of things, but I'm going to throw to the people that really can probably talk more about that. Maybe Nethemi, do you want to start anything?
Yeah, you were on the lines of what I was saying. The fact that once you enter Monash University, especially for education, you're immediately met with like-minded individuals. So I remember my first day, my first class in an education course, I immediately became friends and I made friends straight away. Even though it was an 8 a.m. class, I was able to connect with people. I was able to collaborate with these people because in the end, we're all going to be educators. So knowing that you're entering a university like Monash and this particular faculty, you know you will be met with like-minded individuals and you'll be able to connect and build with these types of relationships.
Great. And I will come to you in a second, Maddie, but Nethemi, I wonder also, was the opportunity of being able to do a double degree a draw card for you as well with Monash?
Absolutely. Knowing that I would be doing secondary education, having both the education and the arts side, I was able to build my knowledge around arts, more specifically literature and history, to better prepare myself for teaching. So I like that there was that blend of education classes and arts classes, because in the end, it really helped me develop as a future educator.
Great. Maddie, did you have anything you wanted to answer about that? Why is Monash education so awesome?
I would definitely agree it's to do with the people. From the second you walk into the faculty, there's people there that just want to support you. Every class is so welcoming. Every lecturer and tutor you meet wants to make sure that you succeed and learn as much as you can. And then even down to the range of placement opportunities. I got to third year, went into placements office, said, so I really want to do like a rural placement, but I don't know how to fit it in. And they were just like, all right, let's make this work. And we made it work. I managed to get every single thing done that I wanted to get done in the faculty and was supported every step of the way. So it's definitely just the people and opportunities they provide.
That's awesome. And I love that we can hear your doggy in the background. I love hearing people's dogs in live streams and meetings and things. Any more questions, Chantal and Grace?
Yeah, so I'd like to follow on with that discussion about placements with a question from Eloise, who's asking, while you're doing placements, do you still have classes on site at Monash?
Short answer, no, I think. Did either of you have the experience where you had classes as well as doing placements at the same time? I don't think you would.
Normally with a double degree, you do still have your arts classes, but as long as you maintain communication with the lecturers and the tutors of the arts courses, you'll find you'll be able to balance placement and your arts, your other degree alongside your education one. So it's a balancing act, but it's not too overwhelming from my personal experiences.
Yeah, I guess that the whole point is the double degree is that each faculty knows that we have a double degree and they're aware there are a lot of students that will be in the same situation. So you're not going to be disadvantaged in any way or, penalised by your tutors or your lecturers if you're not able to make a class because you've got a placement commitment, because that's a compulsory part of your course. Any more questions? Anything else about placements or something else?
Yes, we do have another question, Beck. We've got one got quite a few actually coming up, so it's hard to choose which one to best answer in a general forum. We do have a question about placements, a quick one that asks about whether classes on site are still happening while you're doing placements.
Oh yeah, we just answered that one. Yes.
Do people get long-term jobs while studying at Monash through doing placements? If so, what are the rates?
Oh, well, I don't actually have the figures in terms of rates of students that get employment from their placements specifically, but I know that we do have quite a few students that get their jobs at schools that they've had placements at. Actually, during a couple of our sessions yesterday, I had an alumni that had got their placement through a school that they'd been to. Had got their job through a placement school that they'd been to. Maddie, I don't know if you're working at one of the schools you did placement at, or how did you go about finding a job when you graduated?
So no, I'm not at one of my placement schools, but all of your placements build up to give you the best experiences to get a job. Anyway. So it may not necessarily be at a placement school, but all those experiences build up and build up. I found a job after a good couple of months of searching. I still had one before the end of the year to start the next year. I'm still in that position now. And when I was employed, they did say all my placement experiences really highlighted to them that I'd be a suitable fit for the school. So yeah, all those placement experiences build up and it definitely makes you employable, and schools do want you from that.
Fantastic. So you actually had a job before you graduated. And I think that's also important to highlight that a lot of our students do have their jobs lined up before they finish their degree. And just in case any of you missed the presentation earlier, we do have some great overall employment rates. So this isn't specifically talking about going from your placement school into a job at that school, but overall we have excellent employment rates. We have about 95% of our graduates going into employment within 4 months of graduating, which is excellent. I think we're actually going to have to leave it there. I'm very sorry, but we've run out of time. Thank you so much to our panel, Nethmi and Maddie, for joining us. Really appreciate your perspectives. And thank you to everyone who's been watching and asking questions. If we didn't get to your question, and I know that there are some that we won't have got to, or if you do need more help, you can chat with us after the session with an education course advisor or a current student. You just need to click on the Chat with Us button on the top navigation bar, click Join a Chat Room and choose the Welcome to Education chat to start chatting. If you did miss the start of the session, you can actually watch it on demand from the Education Auditorium, or you can join us later this afternoon for a repeat session. Thanks everyone, and next up at 10:30 we'll be having a health and physical education presentation. Hope to see you there.